Is anybody going to be changing anything here? Do I need to? Okay.
Yes, John?
Wow.
Don't ask John.
Everybody ready? Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the meeting of the Moorhead Public Service Commission. I would entertain a motion to approve. Whoa, wait a minute. No, we changed things up here. Election of officers. We haven't done that yet for this year. I wasn't quite prepared for that. But we probably need to get that done.
Yeah, we usually do that on an annual basis after the appointments have been made. So now that Mary has been appointed, you can do the elections.
She's not here to participate.
Yeah, no, she's not. Yeah.
So, well, we've chatted about this a little bit. I was elected to this role a little over a year ago, and I have indicated to members that I'm willing to continue for another one, but I would prefer that we don't make this a life sentence. And so I'm willing to participate if you want me to keep doing this, and then we can select other officers. But how would you like to proceed?
I make a motion.
Entertain nominations or?
Yeah.
Yep.
I nominate the current slate of officers to continue into the next year.
Well, that makes it easy.
Yep.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Everybody understand the motion? Continue the way we've been flying, I guess. I got a motion and a second. Any discussion? All in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion is approved. Thank you very much. But as I said, it's not a life sentence, so I think we ought to be prepared to do something different next year. So keep that in mind. Now, I would entertain a motion to approve our agenda. I'll step up at the same time. I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Got a motion and a second to approve the agenda. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion is approved. I would also entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda. Got a motion?
Second.
Got a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, whoop. That was an aye.
Yep.
Okay, I thought it was something else coming. All opposed, same sign. Motion is approved. Item number 7, customers to be heard and recognitions.
We do have one recognition, and I warned her that we were going to introduce her. Mandy Savageau is one of our new administrative assistants.
Yep.
And I did tell her that she probably better be prepared because you made Sue introduce herself last time. So if you want her to say a few things about herself, you certainly may ask her that.
Well, we did do that last time and asked that you just kind of tell us a little bit about yourself so we know who. I saw the name on the email today confirming whether I'd be here or not, so I figured there's somebody new in the ring here.
True. Well, I am from Fargo, Moorhead resident, and I've been working for Moorhead Public Service the past 2 years as a part-time records management assistant before accepting the full-time position for the admin assistant.
Oh, good.
Looking forward to my new role.
Wonderful. I know your name in the community. You must have lots of cousins and uncles
There's
and
a
aunts.
lot of Savageaus.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, good to have you with us.
Thank you.
That's it.
Meet you all.
Anything else, Bill?
No.
Any customers to be heard? I see one with a beard out there, but he looks real familiar, so I'm just going to leave him alone. He's a customer, among other things, so yeah. Among other things. All right. Old business. Do we have any old business to attend to? John, of course.
Yes, please.
All right. John, you're up.
I would like to get further clarification here with the agreement with the city regarding collection of services. From the emails that I've seen, I have a concern. Basically, that would be relating, if we are setting up a payment program for a consumer, I believe then we have to follow consumer lending law. because it's a payment plan and we're giving them credit. So that would mean we have to follow disclosure requirements, comply with truth in lending, comply with debt collection practices, determine if there's late fees or interest going to apply, what happens if there is not a payment made, so basically a loan policy. Until we have these items answered, I don't think we're in a position to begin a collection action for these fees. So somewhere along, I think there was a requested that we get a attorney review or an explanation of what is the proper course to follow. So until we have that done, we could probably run into a lot of consumer issues with not following compliance and regulations.
So is your concern with regard to our fees or the city parts of the fee?
Would be the city part, because that is the part that is not a utility bill, it is a debt repayment plan. And my understanding is that if you were giving a debt repayment plan to a consumer, you have to follow consumer regulations regarding extending credit to those individuals.
How shall we proceed with chasing down this question we're the collector, in this case. And I recall from the city manager's comments that they don't really want to be in the business of chasing bills either, and not extending credit. But is this a payment plan that is it's not an interest-bearing cost or anything like that, is it?
I don't think that's been determined yet as far as if that would or would not be. But from my experience, that if you're setting up a payment plan to a consumer, you got to follow
I see. Okay.
those regulations.
Heidi, I guess what we need to do is work with you and try to get the questions back to the leadership, at City Hall, and figure out, how it is that we do proceed. So, yeah.
It's great questions, I think.
Yeah.
Probably things that most people didn't think about. Definitely something that Attorney Shockley would need to be a part of and do some investigating. So I can bring that back to council.
Yeah.
City manager, attorney.
'Cause otherwise, I understand that we really worked out the everything that we need to on the utility side of the bill, but it is that remaining element that then would carry during those months that is not eligible for that coverage by the payment program from the state. So.
Well, but maybe one additional thing, maybe we can put a deadline to this and not have to wait for another 6 months. Because if this is a liability issue, it's on us. So let's get to this maybe a little bit faster.
Well, and the fact is that there are some of these fees that are probably starting to stack on some of the bills, that we've experienced this winter already. So, okay.
I don't know how deep to go into this, but as you know, we've been working through issues with West Central and the Department of Commerce for the past 14 to 16 months. And through that process, we learned that the Department of Commerce does not want us to disconnect electric or water service to collect for city fees.
Right.
And that's where all of this started. And we got resolution with the Department of Commerce really in January. And then in late February, the council directed the city manager to instruct us not to collect or not to disconnect water or electricity for, all accounts for city services. And, with that directive, basically for, 96% of the customers that will never be disconnected, we're doing the collection for those, for the city services. If people pay the bill, then we collect for that. However, if they get behind on their payments, whatever, and they do become disconnected, then at that point, that's when we are following the council and the city manager's instructions and not, allowing them to pay just their electric and water portion of their bill, and then we turn the service back on.
Yeah.
Or we don't disconnect them for, if they come in and pay all but the city services, we don't disconnect them. And that's really what the Department of Commerce wanted us to do for, the 1,200 customers that get assistance, but now we're doing it for all the customers. And I think we've worked out the operational details for the time being. For the Moorhead Public Service customers, we're really not doing anything any different. And the Department of Commerce and the council and the city manager have no problem with us collecting for water and electricity. Everybody is okay with that commodity being disconnected if we have to in order to collect for those services. What's at issue is the small percentage of city service customers that the council doesn't want us to disconnect and the Department of Commerce doesn't want us to disconnect electricity and water to collect those city services. Payment arrangements, right now we have our own payment arrangements for water and electric service. If the city manager and the city attorney determine that there's a different type of payment arrangement for collection of city services, that's really beyond our realm at this point, and that would definitely have to be discussed, how we're going to do that. As of right now, those bills likely will just continue to accumulate, which I think is what the council intended until, say, April or May or whatever, and then a payment arrangement would be made. Since we're pretty much through the winter, this problem probably won't surface until maybe next year at this time. So we probably do have some time to resolve it.
What are the states that are the dates that are established by statute for the window?
It's October through April, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Yep. So, but the one thing that we're doing as well is, those payment arrangements, we're saying, city, that's your responsibility, because our procedures are not set up to do that. And, they haven't figured out yet how they would want to do that. And like John mentioned, there might be some further complications to doing that. Yeah. So as of right now, there are no, payment arrangements being made for city services. There are for water and electric. So that's kind of the broad overview. There might be some more questions, later on.
So because we're not collecting the city fees, we're not breaking any laws because to your point, we're not doing anything on the credit side, correct? For the city services.
Well, and I'd like to make sure we're clear. We weren't breaking any laws in the first place. We were.
No, I'm sorry. There's no potential for us breaking laws. To John's point, with regard to setting up a payment plan for customers, if it were true that there were laws and regulations we had to follow, we currently don't have to worry about that because we're not collecting on those. We're not making any payment terms.
Correct.
Right.
Correct.
Okay.
The question remains what's happening with any fees that are stacking right now if there isn't a plan or a collection policy in place.
But that's not our concern, right? That's the city.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, I understand.
Yeah, it's the city's concern, and it probably won't stack too much because we're almost through the winter. So, you're probably doing this at a good time to make that change, but there will have to be some payment arrangements, collection procedures that the city's going to have to undertake or something, because it's going to be quite a bit different than what we're currently doing.
Well, why don't we proceed with working through Heidi? A lot of questions and no answers. So let's work through Heidi over the next couple of weeks until the next meeting and see where we might need to be. It sounds a whole lot more operational than policy-wise for us, but we need to get it straight so that the folks downstairs at the window and on the phones, know what to do. So, yeah. Thanks for bringing that up, John. We'll give them a second to get through their chat. Do we have any other old business, John? Are they going to do it for tonight? Okay, thank you. Reports, City Council, Heidi, you're up.
I would, just say that we are entering flood mode.
Yeah.
And that will be priority at, at the council, city manager level. We can, I'll definitely bring the billing to the attention and those questions to city manager attention, but I don't know if a 2-week turnaround is.
That might not be. Yeah.
Right, because we have.
We have time. Yeah, we have time, so, yeah.
But at this point in time, I think we have everything where we need to be. We are where we need to be. There's definitely no cause for panic or alarm or anything at this point in time. So we're just getting all the information we need to residents and businesses. And
It was my intent to ask Travis to visit with us this evening a little bit too. He's sitting in on the meetings and such. Unless you have any, is there anything to add? Just an assurance. Otherwise, that's the next order of business. So if Heidi has anything more, but.
And I guess in response to that, I think council and city staff and the manager would be very appreciative if all flood information that goes out to the public goes through the city.
Oh, yeah, sure.
And I think Travis has done a nice job of getting information out to you all, but anytime flood issues or flood information needs to get out to residents, customers, consumers, we would like to see that done through the city.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. Good point. And we're depending on Travis. He's our designee to the group that is managing the flood fight. So I had asked him, in that role to give us an update tonight for us. But absolutely, there needs to be one voice.
Yeah, exactly. Thank you.
You bet. So Travis, anything to add?
Yeah. Like I said, like Heidi said there, I usually send out a email to the commission and MPS staff just to make them aware of updates that have come out on the forecasts of where crests might be occurring, or what the percentages of hitting those certain levels are. So again, like we've talked about in the past, the city, Moorhead, and MPS are gearing up for the flood event. Excuse me. Since 2009, there's been a lot of effort put into, minimizing that impact that we have by putting levees along the river to roughly 44 feet. So it's 42 feet plus 2 feet of freeboard. So the levees that you see around town are up to about 44 feet. MPS staff is also looking at our facilities as well too, and what any things different we have to do with anything that might be impacted. Our requirement is to keep the power lights on during a flood event, so those sump pumps keep running, and that's what we're here for. So we've, since '97 and 2009, we've done a lot to relocate or move electric and water facilities out of that area so that we don't have those problems. A good example is the river intake project that happened after 2009. Basically, that becomes a non-maintenance issue for us. We don't have to remove screens anymore. And if I'm correct, the level of the floor on that river intake site is 42 feet. And I think pumps are actually at about 45 feet. So really, there's not a lot of maintenance that has to be done there. But again, staff is looking at what we need to do and what levels we need to do them at. And we're even talking about what time or what levels that we want to start going 24 hours to, just to make sure people are around in case stuff is going on. So that's the kind of the quick update on where we're at, and we'll continue forward. And we've talked with Bob Z and Steve Moore at the city just to make sure if they need help from us, anything that they need shut off sooner, there are certain levels that certain things need to be taken care of. We'll be available for that, and we'll be joining in on the meetings whenever those start as well too with the city. So.
We have a lot of new investment up in Oakport as well, but I would imagine our design, took all of that into consideration.
Yep, and there was a lot of things done between the county and the city as well too, with flood efforts up there as well, making sure that there wasn't a whole lot of flooding going on in that area as well too. But yeah, our design is the designer and install that we did was to make sure that power stayed on up there as well too. So.
Yeah. Members, anything for Travis while we have him up the microphone? Good. Okay, thank you. Appreciate the update. Members of the Public Service Commission, anything else? Reports on events, activities? You look like you're ready.
Yes.
Yes.
Southside Water Tower,
Yeah.
artwork's done, except I think there's some adjustments that need to be made to it based on the review of the Art and Culture Committee. They had some ideas, and so there was an email exchange this morning about the things that they would like added or subtracted from the design. That should come to us soon.
We also had a conversation about the, what do they call it now? The Identity Tower? The Identity Tower. I'll let you talk about that, too. It was my first meeting. I have a lot of catching.
That's my first meeting as well.
Then we'll wing it.
All right, well, the Identity Tower, or the I-94 Tower, as we've always referred to it before, that process for painting that tower is going to be different than the process painting the neighborhood towers. And it has a lot to do with city branding. And so that process will take a little bit longer than the neighborhood tower process. And they're applying for an LRAC grant, a $10,000 LRAC grant, and hopefully applying for an FM Area Foundation grant to supplement the funds needed to make that tower improvement, so.
Okay. Anything else? Other members? Activities? Okay. Mr. General Manager, you're up.
Yeah, just a couple of items that are written down in the GM report. One is the employee grievance process that Commissioner Regala was wondering about before and talked about an HR type committee that, you know, we've learned can't be an open or can't be a standing committee, otherwise it ends up being an open or a committee open that complies with open meeting laws. So that's included in there. Other than the flood and Travis's update, that's all I had to talk about.
Any questions for Bill?
Yep.
John?
Bill, thank you for, I guess, summarizing the policy, which I think we are all familiar with here, but it's still specifically here in your write-up, you're talking about referring it to the commission. I don't know at this point how many employees know the commissioners very well, so I would still think it would be appropriate to have either a commissioner or a position like the president or the treasurer or secretary, whatever the case, so they know who to go to. Because at this point, we don't have, in my opinion, a strong enough relationship with all our staff that they would feel comfortable to coming to a commissioner that they don't know.
Sure.
So I think we still need to look at this and give it a little bit more specifics so staff know who or the title or position that they should be, or they could potentially contact.
Yep.
So just a little bit more work on that, if you would.
Okay.
What would you suggest? Move forward with a couple of us to
Well, I can't.
work on that detail?
Well, I'm thinking it's pretty straightforward as far as, in the past, when we had the HR committee, it was designated who that would be.
Yeah.
And now we don't have anybody, so in Bill's write-up, I think it says that they have the ability to come to the commission. Well, I think, in my opinion here, and that maybe some more input from the rest of the commissioners, if we should have somebody specifically designated, or if we have the president or whoever by title, that they would know who to address any concerns if they should ever arise. That's where I'm looking for a little bit more clarification and direction here for our employees. Because it was pretty clear before of who they went to.
Yeah, I mean, before we had a designated, two commissioners that were on the HR committee. They were probably more familiar with the HR committee because they did negotiations for the union contracts. At the last meeting, we were concerned about the professional and supervisory staff as well. So we've kind of outlined the process here, and it says, employee can go to a commissioner, so any of the commissioners, and probably one good way of just getting everyone familiar with each other is to, have some of those socials or those types of things like we were talking. And we are working on one social that'll come here in the spring, which those things would probably help. I mean, we have an employee meeting in the fall, do something in the spring, maybe do something in the summer, and just get people familiar so that because they would just have to feel comfortable to grab one of you. The other one is just, if you see people on the job site, I know Ralph has done this, just stop by and say hi. I think we were going to get I think you've got a hard hat and vest, but you do need to have safety equipment, so but we would encourage that as well. So I think that's probably the bridge there, is making sure that they know you and know who you are, and maybe we should, have pictures out, at the plant that have your pictures there so they kind of know who you guys are as well. So yeah, we can maybe brainstorm a little bit about some of those things.
I think John, though, is proposing, somewhat specifically that we get a little bit more clear on that point of contact, whether that needs to be the chairman of the board as opposed to just one of 5 commissioners. How do you all respond to that?
Can we just create, we just elected office, or can we create an annual liaison person?
Mm-hmm. That's what I'm thinking, rather than it is kind of vague or open-ended, where we describe, a commissioner, pick one, pick your favorite one or your least favorite one, and go from there. But, we could be more clear on that.
Sure.
If we designate someone, from year to year, or make it the chairman, or, whatever whatever you might want to do to clarify this so that the employee is given a little bit more specific guidance.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
I'm open to that. But.
I would, in terms of this, I think it's a great idea. On the flip side, I would hesitate to limit people to one commissioner, and also caution that we don't end up speaking for the commission as an individual. So I think it would work well if we kept it open and funneled things to the commission's chair, and then in this case you would be able to contact Bill or whomever you want to, or the rest of, we'll address it in a meeting or however we feel is appropriate. So that's my opinion.
And that's basically what we have in policy. So, Ralph, any comment? John, any further comment? We do have some events coming up, and I appreciate the opportunities to have events where we're going to be able to spend a little bit more time so that the employees can get to know us as well. I think that's a good step. It sounds like we want to give this a chance to work. So if we're good with that. John, you good with that for now?
Yep.
Okay. And this is already the approved procedure, so we don't need to take any action tonight. Okay. Anything else from members? Item number 10 is to approve consulting services for 2019 leadership coaching.
Yeah, we'll invite maybe Nancy and John Trombley up to do you want to do the intro and all, or? Okay.
Nancy Lund, Admin and Finance Manager, and with me today I've got John Trombley from the Village Business Institute. And so since 2016, Moorhead Public Service has been involved in employee culture and employee engagement. Starting in 2016, we had one consultant work with us in 2016 and 2017. It involved employee surveys, some training opportunities, some leadership opportunities, and then in 2018, we changed consultants, and we've had John Trombley with us last year. working on leadership training and coaching again. And so I'm just asking him to summarize what he's done last year and then talk about what we're proposing for this year's leadership and culture activities. I'll just make one more comment on the culture side of things. We did turn the culture team or organizing the culture champion piece of that, and that's the employee piece and the employee representation over to our accountant HR coordinator, Jerry Borman. So he's pretty much been leading that charge on the employee side. And then the village with John has been doing some training and individual coaching and things like that. So welcome, John.
Thank you, Nancy. Appreciate it. Good afternoon. How you all doing? That's South Fargo.
Good.
But I live in West Fargo now, so I guess I should drop the accent, right? It's been my pleasure to work with Bill, Nancy, Jerry, and the rest of the folks at MPS. And as you are already aware, MPS has a employee assistance program contract with the village, and it's through that contract that we've been providing the training and consulting services at a reduced rate. So I was doing a little bit of checking here over the in our files, excuse me for the frog. I'm going to get rid of this frog when I go to Cancun this week, just so I'll be suffering on the beach.
Nice, goodbye.
I want to know, just for you guys,
right.
I'll do that. Back in January, a year ago, 2018, we provided training for 60 MPS employees in the area of developing a respectful workplace, excuse me again, civility at work, if you will. We followed that up in September with training for an additional 8 folks on compassion fatigue. I believe that was pointed specifically at the customer service folks. And then in January, 54 folks were trained in the area of making positivity a habit. All of this is part of the culture change initiative that MPS embarked on beginning back in 2016. Looking about a year ago, we sat down and reviewed some of the information that was provided through surveys, whatnot, that were done in 2016-17. You are a champ. Thank you. All right. So we ended up conducting a survey with all 65 eligible employees at the time, 50 of whom responded either online or through hard copy survey response forms. And we looked at 11 areas that range everywhere from change management and communication to rewards, recognition, leadership, these kinds of things. And it was out of those results that we began to develop the leadership development course that I presented beginning in October, and we did that beginning on October 12th, and we did it. There was a 7-part series. We concluded that on December 7th. It was that group of folks, team leads, supervisors, managers, whatnot, of MPS, and I think there are a total of 25 names on that list. There's probably 21 who were able to make it to all 7 sessions. And the training there focused on soft skills training for leadership development. If you want to, I can give you the list of those topics. But the bottom line was all of that was designed to increase the skill and knowledge level of folks in leadership or supervisor or lead positions at MPS. As we sat down a year ago, we realized, we got this team approach, i.e. through the training, but there's something else that can be gained and should be gained through a coaching process, that one-on-one thing. And I've had the opportunity and the pleasure of working with 5 of your folks in that role as a coach for the last, we began would have been just about April or so of last year. And some of those folks will be finishing up that series of coaching here in May. So to be what it was worth, and you mentioned Jerry, for instance, who is the head of the culture committee for MPS. He's been one of my coachees in this initiative. And the Nancy asked me to kind of talk a little bit about what that coaching entails. What do we focus on? And it's all about the individual, the coachee, him or herself, and specifically what their specific goals might be, how they want to develop and desire to develop as a leader in NPS. So I sit down with them. We go through that assessment process. Where are your skills? What are your natural talents and abilities in this? And then let's identify those coaching areas that you want to work on. And so it's a very individualized approach, oftentimes tapping into some of the leadership development skills that we went through in the training process in October through December. But it's always been about meeting the needs, the coaching goals of the individual as those pertain to the requirements at the workplace. Typically, coachees end up doing homework, which is probably for some a little different. They didn't expect that when they walked in the door, but that's part of the deal. The belief being that you can go to classes, you can get training, you can get coached, but if you don't apply it, what good is it? So it's been heavy on application. And so folks end up walking out with coaching assignments which are designed to tap into those areas that they need to work on, i.e. soft skill development, leadership skills across a broad spectrum, whether it be conflict resolution, performance management, communication, employee development, teamwork, what have you. And at the end of the day, I have to say that it's been really a superior pleasure on my part to be able to work with these guys because they wanted to be there. They wanted to be a part of the process. And the proposal was, when we first sat down a year ago, we wanted to see this happen over the course of perhaps even a few years, but we were going to take 1 year at a time, see how that is going. And so Nancy asked me to make that proposal once again for this next year, and I've done that through that contract proposal that is sitting for your consideration. And at that point, I've been talking a lot. What kind of questions might you have for me?
Any questions? I have one, maybe, or Ralph?
I have two.
You have two. Ralph, you're up.
Two questions. Number one, are we going to do follow-up surveys, like benchmark against the benchmark survey, or?
Yeah, well, we haven't specifically talked about that, but it would be my normal plan to consider doing that again at about the 2-year point. So, in other words, a year from now, we want to enter into that. I want there to be enough time in between so that we can see any measurement, any movement. Sometimes in the past, I've looked at that and suggested every 12 months. But honestly, sometimes that's just not enough time. I've found in my particular experience working with folks in town, when they have 2 years to work on initiatives, that's when we're able to see some notable change and progress. But in the interim here, of course, being able to do the coaching and the kinds of training that we've been able to provide at MPS, we believe all those things are moving that ship down the lane, so to speak, in the right direction. And yeah, I would suggest we do that again a year from now.
I might want to just, feed on that question.
Yeah.
What kind of feedback are we getting from the participants? Short of a survey, but what are we hearing from? You said it was 5 individuals, or how many?
Oh, okay.
In the leadership.
2 different things.
So I'm hearing this from you, but I'm wondering about hearing from the participants in the program and what they really want to tell us, if they want to tell us anything.
Sure.
What they're getting out of it.
Yeah, you're talking about the coaching now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I would say Bill is one of my coachees.
Okay.
Jerry Borman, of course, and then
Yep.
there's a few others. So
Yeah, okay.
I would tell you, I can't really speak for any of these guys, but it's been gratifying to me.
And don't get me wrong, I feel like I'm hearing from the salesman.
Absolutely, yes, you are.
And,
Yeah.
and I'd love to hear more from the customer.
Yeah, I mean, I could give you just my perception or what I've heard as well from others that have done this. And we're trying to provide leadership training for those voluntarily that want to, be a leader and volunteer for this. So we didn't make it mandatory for anyone. And like John said, we've got 5 participants. I've participated in it, and I've talked to the others that are participants. And I think it's very good. I think you get individualized training that's, I think, different than when you do it like in a classroom type setting. I think John does an excellent job, and I think the tools he uses are very good as well. And even some of the tools that he uses, the way he administers it is different than I've had administered in the past. And I think it actually provides more accurate assessment of the type of leadership that like I do. And it makes you think about what type of leader you are and how you can adjust things to do a better job at leadership. So I think it's very good. And I definitely would recommend that we do it again next year.
I jumped in on your questions, Rob. Sorry.
No, you're good.
Yes.
I'm good.
Oh, okay. Chris?
Yeah, the surveys, are they qualitative or quantitative or both, or?
Okay, we're talking about the employee engagement survey now
Yes,
that we
I am.
conducted a year ago. Both qualitative and quantitative. We do, when we take a look at the results from those surveys, obviously in those 11 different categories that were looked at, we were able to get a sense of the quality of people's experience at work. And obviously we put that in a numerical index, if you will. It's out of that I've normally, and what I did here as well, is develop recommendations for each of those 11 categories. And it was, again, out of that kind of helped be the balance point for the leadership development course that we created this last fall.
Thank
I
you.
don't know if that answers your question well enough, but, yeah.
Yep. From what you'd said, I think you've been working with the utility now for about a year.
Well, actually, much longer than that. Yeah.
So, and as far as I recall, this is the first presentation that we've been given. And in a previous relationship that we had the consultant regularly visit with the commission to give them updates and information about what you haven't. At this point, the commission hasn't seen any of that information. So I think it would be appropriate that we got a little bit more information from you as well, input from staff, as far as how successful this program has been and how we should continue here for it. So, and I apologize if that wasn't a better explanation, that we would have expected more regular updates as far as the training that you're providing here. But I think at this point, I got a 5-minute presentation of what you did for the last year and a half, and I think we need more information.
John, let me ask you about something you said early on in your remarks. Did you say compassion fatigue?
Yeah.
Okay. That sounds like something that would really be interesting for us, given that we have folks that deal with people at all walks of life and various situations. And is that an ongoing sort of a coaching, counseling, training that we do, or are we spotty with it?
Question,
I'm anxious to know more about what we do in that.
That happens to be a training topic.
Okay.
Yeah, I've got 2 people whose main focus in life is going on providing training for our EAP companies.
Yeah.
And I believe was it Robert or was it Nancy? Do you recall who did that? Nancy did that. Yeah. So that's one of the topics that we provide training for any number of different organizations.
Have we ever done it?
Well, obviously, yeah, we did that here for the customer service department here.
Is it ongoing? Do we continue to do that?
It's a matter of calling us up and we can get that training set up. It's not something that's ongoing. It's by request.
We have a team that are answering the phone, constantly and dealing with lots of folks on an individual basis. And I know it's one of the issues that got us into some of the long conversations that we had this winter with folks that are having, a struggle, making their bills and so
bet.
forth. And our folks down there in customer service, they hear it all. And I'm certain that after a while, that fatigue, as you described it, would set in. And, we've got folks that are paying attention to that, but I guess I'd like to learn more about that and how it is that we're applying that on any kind of a regular basis, because the people do get tired. And I've questioned over the last couple of years how well we do it.
Sure.
How well we end up listening after a while, because some of our folks are just on that phone, doing that all the time. So
They're carrying a lot of weight.
so those two words popped out at me as you were going through your report. And Bill, I guess I'd like to know more about what we're doing.
Well, we could put together a report of some of the other customer service training we've done as well, because we supplement. I mean, we use John. We've done. Missouri River has had trainers that have basically done it regionally, where we've had it here in Fargo, Moorhead.
Yep.
And so, I mean, if we were going to do, John can't answer all the question on all the customer service training we've done, but we could put together a report.
Yeah.
And it might help with planning in the future, because I do think we have to, continue to invest resources in a lot of that training for, a lot of different issues that we've got.
Well, we had some conversation about our strategic plan and some of our statements about, compassionate and caring service and so forth. And that just seems to steer right into those columns. And I'd like to know that we're doing all that we can in that area.
Sure.
so that we are responsive, that we're good to our employees who are in that tough role, but also then so that we're really good to our customers. And,
You bet.
so I'm hopeful that this is one of those tools that's really being used to its optimum. So, yeah. Thanks, John. Anything else on this topic?
No, we can bring some of those, we'll bring another report back and talk about the resources that we're spending right now, and then maybe we'll, look at more things that we can do as well, because I think that's what I hear, that we might not actually be doing enough. So.
Well, we were told that a couple of different times in those tough conversations, this winter, about the bill collecting and the programs to help our customers, with these cold months and such. And so if there are tools out there for us to use, I'd like us to use them. So that would be my approach anyway. John?
And along with the report, Bill, if there has been surveys from the employees, kind of a summary of what that has been and what the pluses and minuses of this program versus the pluses and minuses that the Dale Carnegie program had. And then and I don't know if you went and researched more than one option available for continuing on with training, but that may be something that I would think that we should look back at Dale Carnegie and see what options are available there as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, we're kind of in a 2-year cycle on some of these things. So, I mean, we'll reevaluate it. We'll probably be, continuing on with another phase and just continuing. So we can bring some things back.
If nothing else, I'd entertain a motion to approve.
I move.
Got a motion? Got a second?
I have a question.
Oh,
I'll second.
I'll take the second, and we'll turn it to you for a question. Yep.
If we haven't received the reports yet of how well this program has been received and presented, is it really pro to can prove another contract without knowing that information? So my thoughts would be, until we have that information, we would table it, determine if this is something we want to pursue, or look at other options.
Discussion?
For me, from the anecdotal stuff we have heard so far, I'm comfortable. I mean, I still would like to see follow-up reports, but I also don't want to interrupt the progress at this point.
Further discussion?
Yeah, to me, I'm satisfied with the process. It would be nice, I think, to, as John has asked for, some more information, but I'm comfortable that the training has been, in the past, perfectly fine. I don't know another word to use because I don't think we have a lot of information, but I am comfortable with the process, so I don't have a problem with it.
Anything further, John, on your point? You've heard the motion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign.
Aye.
Motion is approved.
Okay.
Thank you, John.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you, John.
Item number 11 is to approve the 2019 Capture the Sun Community Solar Garden Project. I suppose
Dennis Eisenbrown, if you would come to the podium, talk about our popular Capture the Sun program.
Good evening. Dennis Eisenbrown, Energy Services Manager. We started this community solar garden in 2015. We started out with 2 arrays, very successful, and we've since added a number more. We are now at number 9, which is the final array for that site. And we have unofficially, half of it already spoken for. We've had some good interest in it, and it's been a great community program for us and for our customers.
I have one question. So why would this be the last array?
Well, the original site was designed for 9 arrays, and so sort of that phase will be done this year. But that doesn't mean we can't build more at that site or somewhere else. And we have some other people that I want to talk to, some of our key accounts, and see if they want to go some other directions with solar. But it's sort of like this this initial community solar garden project that was initially designed is complete now with this 9th array. But that doesn't necessarily mean the end. It's just simply completed as it was initially designed.
Dennis, what other sites do you have in mind, now that you're maxing this one out?
The couple that come to mind right away, one is the existing site is to expand possibly to the south, on the south side of the road there where the current arrays are.
Yeah.
That might be one area. We've also have a couple of customers that might be of interest. Bush Ag is a possibility. I'm also trying to connect with the school district a little bit and see if we can connect with their remodeling project and do something with them. So, a couple ideas like that.
Could we use the sludge ponds?
Yes, it's definitely possible. It's when they're.
This was a serious, real question.
No, it's actually a very good site, because then you can't really use the top of those dikes once they're filled for farming or for construction. But they would certainly hold solar panels. And when Chris says, "All right, I'm done with this sludge pond," and if you're willing to let go, I'll take over and we'll put some solar panels on it. So.
And he's not here to speak for himself.
I know
so
it's.
what the heck, yeah.
And Mark is going, I'm the new guy here. So, so yeah, no, that is definitely a possibility. But I don't think that sludge pond is ready to be capped yet, is it? Yeah. Okay. So.
Well, we have a number of them, right?
I'm sorry.
We have a number of sludge ponds up there. 12, right? So.
Yeah.
It's a lot of solar panels.
We could power western Minnesota.
All right. Any further questions for Dennis? I'd entertain a motion.
Also move to approve.
I got a motion to approve. Yeah, to approve.
Second.
Got a motion to approve and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion is approved. Number 12 is an item to award bid for roof replacement at MPS Dispatch Operations Center. Who's up on this one?
Travis is coming up.
Travis Schmidt, Electrical Engineering Manager. In front of you, we're asking you to award the bid for the roof replacement at the MPS Dispatch Operations Center. It was had a 10-year, the membrane that's currently there had a 10-year warranty, and it's been about 20 years since we had that installed. So we've gotten our life out of it. You guys approved the specifications on the 19th of February. We opened bids on the 5th of March. We had three bids that came in in a wide range of, as the bid tab shows. The award that we're going with is for A&R Roofing Company. Their bid was about $223,000, which is about 36% below our engineer's estimate of $350,000. So reputable contractor in the area. The YHR, which was the architect that we worked with to put the specs together, has used them in the past. They have a good reputation, so we're comfortable with the bid and awarding the bid to them.
Another 10-year warranty? Or
This will be the warranty on this one will actually be a 20-year warranty.
20?
Yep. And there'll be some other minor modifications that they'll be doing on the roof as well while they're up there to make sure everything lasts a little bit longer. So,
Questions for Travis? John?
Travis, could you discuss a little bit more about the unit price A1
Sure.
for $2.50 specifically here? Is that something you're involved in determining what needs to be replaced, or how is that going to be?
correct. So as they peel off the existing rubber membrane roof, they'll be looking at the insulation that's underneath there. And if that basically becomes waterlogged, they'll have to remove it and put some new stuff in. And that's what that base bid or unit price A1 is for, is to replace that foam insulation.
Okay. So do you have any idea what potentially that could work out to be?
I don't, and not until you peel it off. But we will be inspecting it while we're doing that. And if something comes up, the contractor is to notify us and/or YHR to review it, take a look at it, and make sure that we're not replacing more than what's needed.
Well, I guess I was just more looking for what the maximum potential would be.
I could get you a number. I don't know off the top of my head what that square footage is.
Okay.
So,
Is that a breaking point for you?
Well, I'm just curious as far as, you look at a $17,000 difference between the two bids. And
correct.
Right.
A&R is a very good company. I'm not questioning that at all.
I think
I'm sure they do appropriate work.
Yeah, their
for it,
pricing
but-
was a little higher on the unit price, but I think overall they were fairly close. I'd have to I can actually just look here quick.
And that, but I guess
Yeah.
just a clarification, because if you got a roof that's, what, 60 by 80 or whatever it is, you got a lot of square feet up there, and you'd be
Correct.
running into a lot of
It shouldn't
insulation
be,
issues.
I think there'd be just a couple areas where we have a couple of potential leaks going on now, so it shouldn't be a lot, but we just wanted to make sure we had the approval. If it gets to be a lot, we'll be making you aware of it, so.
But you have the review process of that.
Correct, yes.
Okay.
Anything further?
Are you comfortable with that? Okay.
You're good with that? Okay. I'd entertain a motion if you're ready to go.
Make a motion to approve.
Got a motion from John? Second from Chris. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. Motion is approved. Do we have, I don't have language to close us this evening. Do we have any reason to close? Okay. Okay. It was just the next item on the agenda, so I thought I'd ask. Okay. John. John, you have an item?
I had a conversation with Bill earlier today because I was in a seminar regarding the impact of legislation potential with marijuana in the workplace, the impact that may have and what regulations and that you would have to follow or not follow. I encouraged Bill to look at that, and I think he said he has resources through an attorney, and they may also, I think you said the Missouri River may also have that. But that certainly may potential that you have medical marijuana at the workplace. And how are you going to deal with that not in a legal issues? So I think it's something that we need to keep track of and have Bill report back as far as if and when, and it appears that there probably will be an approval at the legislature from the indications that I've read. So we just need to really keep aware of that.
And we could report back because we do have policies on you know, especially our CDL drivers, that type of thing. I can't remember what's the name for that policy that, I'm trying to think.
Well, you have to be DOT compliant, so that's a federal regulation, so that
Yeah.
does not impact this, but your other potential employees, and it goes into a lot of questions as far as if they're on their personal time, what can they do versus work time, and if they come impaired, what kind of testing can you do and how you can do it, and it's basically, from my understanding, a lot how the state statute is written about how we're going to have to follow it, so.
Are we getting any assistance from our state association on this? I would think MMUA would be all over this.
Yeah, I mean, as far as safety goes,
Yeah.
I mean, we definitely would
Also, how to apply this. If
Yeah,
this is
we would-
legislature.
talk to our safety coordinator, see how
Yeah.
Minnesota Municipal Utilities are handling it, and then, you know, talk to our labor attorney that would have some experience with policies that you would have to have, and I see Nancy's writing notes, so we'll, I haven't had a chance to talk to her yet about it, but.
Right, yeah. But again, I thought it'd be important because I would think we need to look at your employee handbook and your drug policy that's in place to see what kind of changes or modifications that may be necessary if it's passed.
Yep.
Do you know the effective date of the legislation?
No, I
If it
don't,
is
but
passed.
Heidi, May, or Steve.
Tend toward
I'm not sure.
August and things like that, but, or maybe even the first of the year.
And again, it's an assumption, but there's multiple states looking at passing this
Yeah.
here, so it seems like it's a trend.
Well, Bill, if you would, can you report back on either the 2nd or the 16th?
On the, yeah, on that one.
16th might be better.
Okay.
I know I'm going to be absent on the 2nd.
Well, we're way ahead scheduled because it hasn't even been approved yet, so.
It'd be good to get at least a catch-up on it. So, yeah.
We can just, bring up our policy and talk about that a little bit, put this in that context, and we won't have anything finalized or any revisions to it, so.
Right. Thanks for that, John. Appreciate that update. Anything else? Okay. Anything from the rest of you? Upcoming meetings, as I just mentioned, I have a work conflict on the 2nd, so I will not be available to be with you on the evening of the 2nd. So I'd be looking toward the 16th for my next meeting. But Ralph, if you're available to step in. And then please note the opportunities for us to participate at various levels throughout the calendar. So, anything further? I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
Got a motion?
Second.
Got a second? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, same sign. We are adjourned.